Chelsea stay third after a 2-1 win at Leicester. And I know what you're thinking. Why are you not at home recording? Well, I'm actually in Orlando, Florida. But the grind doesn't stop. Chelsea 2-1 away at the King Power. Do you know what? Before we get into it, make sure you go down, drop a like. Make sure you have subscribed. Match reactions for Arsenal, City, and of course this game today. And hopefully Spurs can get a win at the Etihad. But Chelsea this game, not going to lie. First half, complete domination. Complete domination. Nicolas Jackson now with 5 goals and 3 assists this season. But for me, the standout performer, the best player on the pitch was Enzo Fernández. I went into this game looking at Chelsea thinking they've got to bounce back to winning ways, right? They have to. Draws against Arsenal, draws against Man United, defeat at Anfield. They need to get back to winning ways. I do think they'll get Champions League this season. And I do think Chelsea overall will surprise a lot of people. I think silverware should be the aim as a bare minimum. They go into this game away at Leicester, a Leicester side that have got huge injuries. When you're having to resort to a midfield of Ollie Skip coming on for Harry Winks, when, you know, Mavadidi's the only really attacker you've mainly got out wide. I thought this Leicester side is a wounded animal, and Chelsea will go there and absolutely flex their muscles and comfortably come back with a victory. And they had, the typical 4-2-3-1 formation. The one player that I don't think has not been performing lately is Cole Palmer. They went with Sanchez, Cucurella, Badiashile, Fofana, and Colwill was a back four. No Reece James, no Gusto. A double pivot of Enzo Fernández and Caicedo. Felix on the left, Palmer in the 10, Madueke and Jackson. Now, I thought that playing Caicedo and Lavia in this game probably isn't the best game plan for Enzo Maresca. I think you did need to play Enzo Fernández. He gives a little bit more control in the midfield. His passing range is better than Lavia's. Caicedo has got to start, though. He is the best player from that, midfield position for Chelsea. But they went with Fernández and Caicedo. Really good game from both of those. But Fernández, for me, was the best player on the pitch. The one that I think has really got to start getting amongst the goals again is Cole Palmer. Of course, they go 1-0 up. 15 minutes in, Nicolas Jackson. It's absolutely diabolical defending from Fayez. Absolutely diabolical. It is some of the worst defending you will see. Genuinely, it really is. I don't understand what on earth he was thinking. The ball goes over the top. They're kind of like shoulder barging each other all the way to the penalty area. Fernández nicks it, plays it into Jackson, and he kind of side foots it into the back of the net. And, Chelsea go 1-0 up. And I'll be honest, when you look at the first half match stats, when you look at it was a great finish from Jackson, who's now, as I say, got 5 goals and 3 assists this season. The end of the first half was absolute domination. I think, other than the penalty, which Leicester got at the very end, I think the match stats were so one-sided. Leicester, I think, had 4 shots, 1 on target. And I think Chelsea had, it might be 16 with about 65% possession. Absolute domination from Chelsea. That first half, they should have had a second or a third. It was a dominant display from Chelsea. They had 70% of the ball, an XG of 0.78. I think they will be relatively happy with Enzo Maresca will be happy with that first half. We then go into the second half. Not a huge amount of changes on the 11. They go out there, 5-10 minutes in, and an absolute miss. One of the misses of the season from Jackson. Felix basically, and I actually think Felix had a good game today. And I think Felix and Nkunku, these are the two that have been knocking on the door. How are we going to get into this first team? They're probably thinking. When you've got the likes of, Neto, Jadon Sancho, Madueke, Palmer, Jackson. These are the two that have apparently been frustrated internally with the lack of game time. That's obviously Felix and Nkunku. But Felix today had a good game, I thought. Go into the second half. Chelsea are knocking on the door again. Leicester, for me, absolutely toothless that entire game. I'll come to their penalty in a minute. But I just think that, Leicester are probably one of the favourites to go down, and it doesn't surprise me. They've not got enough firepower. They've got a relatively good manager, who kept Forest up a number of times before. Around the 70th minute, Fernandez basically puts the nail in the coffin and seals all 3 points for Chelsea. Obviously, he assisted Chelsea's opening goal to Jackson, and Jackson returns the favour. Late run into the box, kind of Lampard-esque. Headers it into the back of the net. And then the penalty situation at the very, very end, which was around the 94th, 93rd minute. Lavia brings down Bobby De Cordova-Reid, and Ayew steps up. I thought Sanchez probably should have saved that. Not the best, not the most convincing penalty, if we're being brutally honest. But, Chelsea got the job done. They move on. They got some interesting fixtures coming their way. But in terms of where they are in the league right now, I think that was a very, very convincing performance. Complete domination, complete one-sided. The only team today to deserve 3 points was Chelsea. And I look at their fixture coming up. Villa next Sunday will be very, very interesting. And they've got Tottenham in a couple of weeks. They've got Brentford. They've got Fulham. They're just looking at their fixtures now. Bournemouth. I think that Villa game will be very, very interesting. Of course, on Thursday, they've got Hyder and him in the Conference League, which you expect them to go out there and comfortably put 2 or 3 goals past them and make probably 11 changes. But as it stands right now, Chelsea is sitting third in the league. 12 games played, 6 wins, 4 draws and only 2 defeats, scoring 22 goals. Scoring 23 goals, which is currently the joint highest with Tottenham. 9 goal difference. And Enzo Maresca, I think, so far has surprised a lot of people, I thought Chelsea would be, in and around challenging for top 4. But I just think the more and more I watch them, the more likely they are to finish there. In their last 5 games, they've drawn with Arsenal, they've drawn with Man United, they've beaten Leicester, they've beaten Newcastle. Only 5 games ago they lost to Liverpool. But overall this season, they have impressed me. I think Enzo Maresca's game management, I think the formation he's got planned, I think Caicedo and Lavia in the double pivot is perfect with Palmer in the 10. But, there's still a long way to go for Chelsea. Can they maybe push into this top 3? Arsenal have kind of fell off. It'll be interesting to see what happens today with their game against Nottingham Forest. But overall, I think Maresca will be happy. Chelsea, as it stands, performing really well. They do need to pull some results out of the bag against the big 6 clubs. But today, I don't think anyone really thought Leicester stood a big chance. They literally dominated that game. For Leicester to have 4 shots, it's just insane for a Premier League side. This Leicester side beat Bournemouth only a couple of games ago at the King Power. But overall, Chelsea move on. Aston Villa next Sunday. Going to be a massive game, that. Huge game. Aston Villa, their form has taken a bit of a hit. But I do fancy Chelsea to beat them. I'm not going to lie. It's at the Bridge. They've beaten Brighton 4-2 at the Bridge. They've drawn with Arsenal at the Bridge. I don't think they've lost the game yet. I tell you that, they lost the first game of the season against Manchester City. But I do fancy Chelsea to pick up a result against Villa. And, for Enzo Maresca, it's about getting some consistent wins under the belt. There have been a little bit like win a couple, draw. And of course, the fixtures haven't been, the easiest this season. They've played Man United, they've played Arsenal, they've played City, they've played Liverpool. So they've got a lot of the bottom 5 to play. They've got Everton coming up. They've got Southampton coming up. I think they've got Ipswich as well coming up. So let me just look at their fixtures. Yeah, they've got Aston Villa, Southampton, Spurs, Brentford, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Palace. Yeah, so other than in their next 10 games, other than Villa and Spurs, I do actually know what? Other than Spurs, I think they'll beat Villa, Southampton, Brentford, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich, Palace, Bournemouth. Of course they beat Bournemouth away, but it's the return fixture at Stamford Bridge. They're out of the League Cup, so they can kind of rotate this Premier League side in and out of the Conference League. But look, Chelsea 2-1 away at the King Power, 3 points. They move on from here. Cole Palmer for me a little bit disappointing today, but he's just going for a bit of a bad spell. Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you do drop a like. Make sure you have subscribed to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you for watching. I am out.